We need some good news in Canada. We need a W because there is so much bad news. There's so many horrible things happening around the world, but also here in Canada with all the crazy pro-Hamas supporters and protests that have spawned. So I have finally some great news. This is the video that you have been waiting for. This is the video that's going to give you even more hope. Welcome back to another video, everybody. This is going to be an awesome one. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already. Really helps grow the channel, as well as consider turning post notifications on, please. We're fighting YouTube suppression, government suppression, Trudeau's own personal algorithm. It's insane what's going on here. And if you want to show your support for Canada, but more specifically Canadian oil, you could find down in the description or the pinned comment below. I love Canadian oil and gas. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. The polls are incredible. I have never seen such a beautiful picture, a colored picture on the internet. Are you ready for this? Here you go. You got popular vote projection, 39%. The Conservatives. You have the seats. Last time we looked, they were set at 174, 175. You need 170 for majority. They're now sitting at projected 194. I told you that the Conservative Party of Canada was going to hit over 200, and we are just so damn close. All right, Conservatives are 4%, Liberals are down 3%, NDP still stuck around 3%. Now let's take a look at winning the most seats odds. Conservatives were sitting at 98%. They dipped down at 97%. Whoa, scary times. They're at 99% likely to win the most seats. Pierre Poilievre could do blackface twice. He can invite multiple Nazis in the House. It still seems that the Conservative Party of Canada is going to win no matter what. Now, I hope that we fast forward times, right? We're 6 months, a year down the road, that there isn't some crazy controversy that the Conservative Party of Canada has done. So you might want to bookmark this video because hopefully, fingers crossed that it doesn't happen. But if it does, then people are going to come back and clip this and be like, Sunshine, you're an idiot. You were wrong. And that could very well be. But I don't think. I mean, you got a prime minister who's done blackface, who's invited a Nazi, awarded him, glorified him, and he's still somehow prime minister. So I think there's a little bit of wiggle room for some serious fuck ups. And if we look at the odds, the outcome. Now, the Conservative Party of Canada was sitting at 37% likelihood of winning a minority government. Now that's gone down because the majority of Conservative Party of Canada is so astronomically ahead in the polls. They are 83% likely to win a majority. If this were Vegas betting odds, all the money in the world would be on the Conservative Party of Canada winning a majority government. So if you've been worried about the next election and if Conservative Party of Canada and Pierre Poilievre will be the next prime minister, let me just remove that worry from you, okay? Because it's almost, we might as well have an election. We might as well just put Pierre in office, whether it's a majority or minority government. Pierre Poilievre will be Canada's next prime minister. And as Canada's next prime minister, let's take a look at what he has to say about Justin Trudeau. The whole world sees Trudeau as a joke. Here we go.
Can we be honest? They don't care what Justin Trudeau thinks. World leaders don't take Justin Trudeau seriously. They think he's a joke. He's being trampled on by world leaders all around the world. Look, when you look at Justin Trudeau at an international meeting, other leaders don't even want to shake his hand. He stands off in the corner while the adults have serious conversations. They know that he's decimated our military, that he embarrasses our country on the world stage, that he allowed a Nazi to be recognized at the state visit of the Ukrainian president, that he has no idea what he's talking about on matters of foreign policy. And they're tired of his pointless, meaningless virtue signaling that's backed up with no substance whatsoever. So right now, unfortunately, as long as Justin Trudeau's around, we will have no influence on the world stage. We need to bring in a serious leader who will rebuild our military, be a professional on the world stage, harness our natural resources, our energy as a geopolitical point of power. We could be breaking European dependence on Putin by selling our liquefied natural gas, but Trudeau blocks it because he doesn't think there's a business case. We could displace oil from Russia, from Iran, and other dictatorships if Justin Trudeau would stop waging war on our energy sector. We could be selling our civilian-grade uranium so that foreign countries could break their dependence on coal-fired electricity and build nuclear power plants. But these are all things that Justin Trudeau has failed to do because he is not a serious leader, and the rest of the world looks at him as a joke.
And that couldn't be more true. I mean, look what happened with the quite recent India debacle and how India's mainstream media and independent media was just hammering Justin Trudeau and his incompetence and just giving a massive light towards their 1.3 billion population. And you have Indians around the world, even in Canada and in India, that were just saying Trudeau is an idiot. And Canada is not taken as a serious country. Not anymore. We once were. We once were known as peacekeepers, not as neutral as Switzerland, but like almost there. We're not a powerhouse. We're not like America. We don't have a massive military. We have a lot of oil. We have the world's largest freshwater reservoir, but we've just been pretty neutral and protected by America. But Canada has not been ever viewed as a powerhouse, I don't think. And we certainly haven't been viewed as a bunch of pussies. And now, kind of, we're definitely floating on that line. We have invited a Nazi into Parliament. We awarded him and glorified him as a hero. That wasn't a good look. We accused an entire country of India, 1.3 billion population versus 40 million, of basically creating a successful assassination on a known terrorist in Canada on Canadian soil. Our plane broke down. We've done blackface. Not we, but our prime minister has. Like, it's not looking good for Canada. So Pierre Poilievre has every right. Everything he said is factually correct, that Canada is just in a very fragile state. And our politics here, the social culture here in Canada, we're crumbling, we're falling apart. You had truckers and peaceful Canadians that went and supported a freedom convoy in the early months of 2022, and they were labeled as terrorists by parts of our Canadian government, but specifically our prime minister. And then you have like actual terrorist sympathizers out in the streets protesting, and our government is where to be found. We're not taken as a serious country, and it pisses me off. It pisses me off because Canada can flourish. We should have a way stronger economy. I feel like our housing market is just horrible. I mean, the fact that people can't afford a house and that rent is unaffordable, the fact that immigration is where it is right now, we're just being flooded and we're drowning. We're drowning. We're taking on too much at once, and we do need a serious leader. And I think that Pierre Poilievre is the man for the job. But I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. If you agree, if you disagree, and if you disagree, who specifically do you think is good for the job? Because I hate people that, I hate disagreeing with something and not providing any solution, unless that's just your opinion. You don't have a solution. You just disagree. That is also fine. But let's take a look at what Pierre Poilievre has said about Hamas and how he's condemned this and all of the protests that are happening locally, domestically, rather, here in Canada.
Your deputy leader, Melissa Landsman, referred to a weekend counter-protest at Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto as a protest in support of Hamas, which Canada has listed as a terrorist organization. And she says there is no place for such protests in Canada, and that she would like to see the police enforcement on this. I wonder, do you agree with her, and how would that work? Thank you.
I think all of us were outraged to see celebrations of the evil, sadistic terrorist attacks on Israeli civilians. Common sense conservatives understand that Hamas is a vicious, criminal, terrorist organization, and we must do everything we can to defeat that terrorism and protect Canadians here at home and across the world. And now I should also point out that Hamas has called for a global campaign of terror. I'm encouraged to hear that police across Canada are working to protect the Jewish community against potential terrorist attacks here at home. I am encouraged to hear that there is a strong police presence at Jewish schools, Jewish community centers, and at synagogues. I hope that all police and security forces will be ready and on guard to protect and prevent against terrorist attacks here in Canada. We have to expect the unexpected. And
it seems like now more than ever, Canadians are on guard, especially with that like wild announcement of Global Jihad Day, right, on Friday the 13th, where it just seemed like it was calls for action for terrorism to happen around the world, which seemed to have not come true. But the FBI, the United States government has, doubled down on it, saying even though nothing has happened, at least of public knowledge, or at least that I'm aware of, on Friday the 13th for the Global Jihad Day, that there is still credible intelligence that suggests that something will happen. So it's very scary times. It's very, very scary times. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's, I'm not living in perpetual fear, but it's pretty scary. I mean, I've got loved ones in big cities. Of course, I'm worried for everyone involved, everyone living in Canada.
And that is why Conservatives call for all three levels of government to do everything in their power to prevent a terrorist attack here on Canadian soil. Thank you.
Okay, follow-up question.
Like what you said about the protest, and we are all aware that the France has already imposed a ban on these kind of protests. And do you think Canada should follow the same footsteps? We should do the same.
We, as Conservatives, believe in freedom of assembly, freedom of speech, freedom of association. People are free to state their own opinions, even opinions that I find abhorrent. That said, I'm free to state my opinion, which is that Hamas is a sadistic, terrorist death cult, and it must be defeated. And I find it abhorrent that anyone in Canada or anywhere else would show their support for Hamas. I will add, though, it is already a criminal offense to provide material support to a listed terrorist entity. That includes Hamas. So if anybody is found to provide, that's, whether it's a donation or recruitment or coordination or any other material support to Hamas, then the police must enforce the anti-terror laws and arrest them for that criminal code offense. Thank you.
Wow, you have not seen Justin Trudeau talk like that. So it's very interesting that the leader of the opposition, Pierre Poilievre, who was very vocal towards the support of the Freedom Convoy, which did get kind of temporarily listed as a terrorist organization, is now saying, hey, no. If you are anyway supporting Hamas, donating any of those things, like you're fucked. And I think that Canadians really need to see some sort of action by our government to back up those claims. But it's very interesting that not the Prime Minister of Canada, but the leader of the opposition is the first to really say that and stand his ground. So I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And we're going to kind of wrap this up here with a recent address by Jagmeet Singh in Hamilton, which is very interesting. And he seems to be very happy with, the level of support that he's achieved recently. But when you look at the polls, it's not, his numbers haven't really budged. So I don't know where in his mind he's receiving the support, but it surely isn't coming from Canadians.
So what is Justin Trudeau's answer to one of the biggest challenges of our time, the housing crisis? Well, he said that it isn't his job to fix it. He said he should have and could have done more to build affordable housing. But the thing is, Justin Trudeau has never known what it's like to worry about making rent. It's just not been a priority for him because he doesn't realize how serious it is for so many Canadians. As you heard, when I was in my 20s, my younger brother had to come live with me because my dad was struggling, and home just wasn't a good place. One day, my mom called me, and she let me know that Dad couldn't work anymore, and I was on my own. I remember those times. I had to work day and night, working hard to make sure I took care of not just myself, but also my kid brother. I remember my parents were struggling to pay the bills. I remember when creditors threatened to take our home. I remember having to take the calls from collection agencies. Those are really tough times. I don't want any family to go through that fear. I don't want any family to worry about that. It doesn't have to be this way. No, it doesn't. For decades, liberal and conservative governments have made the wrong choice. These governments chose to let big money investors and corporate landlords take over the housing market, driving up prices for everyone else so they can make a quick buck. We will make sure the housing market works for families, for young people, for seniors, for workers, not for rich investors. Si on se retrouve dans cette...
That's a very weird claim that Jagmeet has said right now, because if he really did care about Canadians, he would be cutting off the coalition. Like, there's so much backlash and negativity surrounding the Liberal Party of Canada. It's at its all-time high. I mean, there's always been backlash and controversy surrounding Liberals, but specifically Justin Trudeau, but now more than ever. And Jagmeet publicly on press conferences and these types of addresses will say that he wants to distance himself from the Liberal Party, but there's still a coalition. So if that were true, Jagmeet, then he would have already cut off the coalition and we would be in the middle of an election. But that's false. What he's saying, he's lying to you. He's saying that he's against Liberal policies and Liberal government and that Trudeau is ruining Canada, yet he still has not called for an election. There could be personal gain, as you know, he wants to receive his golden pension, which is set to kick in at the year 2025. I mean, that would be a massive one. That would secure financial freedom for him for the rest of his life and including his family. So there's a lot of personal gain that Jagmeet has for not calling an election. So it's very disingenuous for him to make these types of comments and claims that he wants the best for Canadians, he wants to expedite housing, yet he is standing in the way of the solution by continuing this coalition. So it's very frustrating, but I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Are you just sick and tired of Jagmeet Singh to the level that I am? Because I am so fed up with him. I mean, he's just a horrible human being, a horrible politician. He's not good at his job and he needs to be removed from office. Or just do the noble thing and call an election if you're so confident in the NDP. I'd love to know what you guys think down below in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe if you haven't yet already, as well as remind you that if you want a sticker, I love Canadian oil and gas. The link for that is down in the description or the pinned comment below. I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now.